Congratulations on 50 years. Wow, that's a long, long time. Just happy to know that you are still respected and looked up to and appreciated. I hope they appreciate you. You know how these people are. Anyway, congratulations. God bless. Bye-bye.
Hi, my name is David Frisch, and I attended Emerson from 1976 to 1981. It's hard to put into words, especially when they'll only let you have 250 of them, just how much Mike Brown has meant to me. He is, without question, one of the most influential and transformative teachers I've ever had. When I attended my 30th reunion in 2012, I had the opportunity to talk with him for a few minutes. For him to say that he actually remembered me meant more than you can imagine. He confirmed what I'd heard, that another Emerson teacher of color had had to sue the college in order to get tenure. I'd always respected that Mike had done so. I said, "So you're telling me that still, 30 years later, the only way an African-American teacher can get tenure in this place is to sue it?" Mike kind of did this, nodded his head with the same wordless, heavy-lidded weariness that I remembered from his history of civil rights class, when I couldn't believe that there were preposterous ideas like separate but equal, or that a black person was supposedly worth 3/5 of a white person. In the summer of 2020, after the murders of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and then George Floyd, it was Mike Brown to whom I wanted to speak. I tried writing to him a couple of times, couldn't finish it. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to say or ask that wouldn't seem naive, but I knew I wanted to talk to him. Congratulations, Professor Brown, on 50 years of opening eyes.
Professor Brown, I'm Christy Ferris, class of 98, and the co-president of Ebony Alumni Association. I did not have the privilege of taking a class with you, but the stories that I hear from Ebony alumni, it's incredible. But the story that stood out to me the most was someone who did not even take a class with you. They said that your presence alone gave them hope. You inspired them because they saw somebody who looked like them. With that being said, congratulations on your 50 years, and we're gonna need you another 50, so we need you to make that happen.
Downtown Mike Brown. We got baby Satch here. We have to speak softly or he loses his mind. But we both wanted to thank you for all your years of service at Emerson.
Yeah, we did. No, you don't have to take a Mike Brown class. You don't.
Okay, so this is Gary. He's substituting for baby Satch, aka Henry. Gary would also like to thank you for all your years of service. And I'm laughing because baby Henry is nearby, and now he's laughing. But Mike, thank you so much. You mean the world to me. You've done such a great job at Emerson. You were a great professor. I loved having you as a professor. And then I worked with you for many years. It's like 17 years we've been working on in the same department. And the last couple of years you've been my neighbor. We had our offices next to each other. And you were a good neighbor. You weren't too loud. You didn't party too hard. So I really appreciated that about you. Mild manner. The kind of neighbor a guy'd like to have. So thanks for that. And there was that time down in New York City when we had the alumni event. And I invited you down, and we had the best time, and everybody loved having you in New York City. And of course you have the requisite Yankees gear, so whenever you're in town, that worked out. But it's been great working with you, and it's good to know you're not going anywhere. And this is just a tribute to 50 years of service at Emerson, and keep up the great work. Thank you.
I had Mike Brown for professor of communications, politics, and law in 1998. Mike Brown is tough, convicted, and very funny. The most memorable thing about Mike Brown's class was the upfront nature of how hard he was going to try to make it on you. He took great pride in that, and that set the tone pretty much, I believe, from the first class on. The thing that I learned the most from him was even the toughest people that you come across can still want you to do very well. Mike had a massive impact on me. He really led me, I think, to find a better version of myself. At times may have believed more in me than I did at that time, and showed me that even though the level was really high and maybe out of my reach, that if I put in the time, people would want to help me and support me to help me reach that level, and not to be afraid to ask for help.
Hi, Professor Brown. It's Lana Cucciella from the class of '06. When I came to Emerson as a WLP major, no one, least of all me, would have expected me to end up in law school. But you recognized my passion for civil rights as a calling, and because of you, I get to help people by towing the line between government powers and individual rights. I know that my successes are your successes, and I know that there are 5 decades of students here all asking the same question: who are we without you? So here's to you, Professor Brown, dream maker, world changer, and to the next 50.
The first word I think of when I think of Professor Brown is critical. And you might say, well, why is that? That's kind of rude, but hear me out. Professor Brown did not make his classes easy, that is for sure. But he taught us through being critical to be critical ourselves in a world that demands it these days. He taught us how to always push our boundaries, how to never settle for the status quo, that there is a better world out there and we can do more. So Professor, happy 50th anniversary. Thank you so much for all you've done for all of us. You are more appreciated than you'll ever know. Thank you for always pushing us to be more critical and strive for better. We appreciate you.
Hi, Heather Marie Vitale here, class of 2008. I took my first Mike Brown class my first semester freshman year, and like so many of us, completely failed my midterm. I had never failed a test in my life. I was very shaken up. When I went to meet with Mike, he told me, well, the good news is that you took a Mike Brown class early and now you know what to do. And I did. I learned that equal protection clause backwards and forwards, and I got an A- in that class. Cut to junior year, I decided to take civil rights with Mike Brown, and because I knew what to do, I got 102 on the final. I still keep this to this day because it remains one of my proudest accomplishments. I feel like I should get nominated for Mensa because of this. Senior week 2008, Mike Brown very graciously offered to be a recommendation for me as I applied for jobs. I mentioned I was looking at the FBI, and he said, maybe not that one. I did end up working as a congressional aide on Beacon Hill for a while, and every time constituents would email about states' rights, I'd want to correct them and say, states don't have rights. People. But Mike Brown, thank you so much. You cemented my love of politics, of the Constitution, and government. I now have a master's degree in political science. I live in Washington, D.C., and I work in the national security field, protecting elections and U.S. operations from foreign threats. So thank you for pushing me to get here.
Hi, my name is Yanchi Wan, and I am in the class of 2018. Took 3 classes with Professor Mike Brown and learned so much about constitutional law and U.S. governments in those classes. And thank you so much, Professor Mike Brown, about every help and advice you gave me. And I still kept this. Congratulations.
What's up, guys? This is Erik, longtime MB fan, first-time caller, sharing the story of the Rate My Professor review that led me to my very first 8 a.m. Mike Brown class. It said, quote, "If you don't take a Mike Brown class while you're at Emerson, you are a lazy coward." Not a lot of words will get me out of bed at 7:30, but those are some of them, and I'm glad they did because dude's the best of the best. So thank you for everything you taught me and everything you're teaching everyone else. Much love.
Hi, Professor Brown. This is Kyle Leathers, class of 2011, coming to you from Stearns Junior High School in Millinocket, Maine, where I teach 7th and 8th grade social studies. I just wanted to thank you and congratulate you on 50 years at Emerson. It's quite the achievement and certainly deserves all the recognition that you are getting from your former students. I have learned a lot from you, and it's all your classes. And I pass that on to my own students. In fact, I was showing them this old blue book just today to show them what I learned from your class, and they responded, well, this is all the stuff that you've taught us. So it is certainly being passed on to future generations. So again, thank you for everything. I would not be in this position without you or your classes. So thank you very much.
Mike, congratulations on this amazing achievement. I'm very proud of you and of all the contributions you have made to Emerson and to the School of Communication over the years. It has been a real pleasure and a delight to work with you in the past 5 years. I have particularly enjoyed our conversations whenever we meet in person. A couple of years ago, when you received your most recent teaching award from the college, I had the privilege of reading all the nominations submitted by your students, and I was very moved and impressed by how much they respect you and how much they have learned from you. One thing that stood out to me from those student letters was how much they admired you not only as a professor, but as a role model and as a human being. I hope you know how much you mean to your students and how much of an impact you have had on their lives along the years. Congratulations again, and I hope we'll be able to meet and have a good conversation sometime soon. Cheers.
Whenever someone approaches me with questions about how to be a successful faculty member at Emerson, I tell them what I know, and then I say, you know who you really need to talk to? You need to talk to Mike Brown. He always responds with generosity and prudent advice. Congratulations, Mike, on reaching this amazing milestone. And I'm sure I speak for many others in sending you good wishes and gratitude for your kindness, your warm heart, and your willingness to share your accumulated wisdom with those who have come after you.
Hey, Mike, big time congratulations, not only on 50 years, but also on that special Spirit of Emerson certificate, which might well be the first and last ever given for half a century. Make you feel nice and young, Mike? It's richly deserved. Listen, they're finally letting me graduate from Emerson after 38 years, so I hope you'll come visit us in Hawaii every week or two. My students were always kind to me, saying things like, Tom, you're getting better. Maybe someday you'll be like Mike Brown. And you kind of sound like Mike Brown. Were you his student? And I think you should take classes from Mike Brown. You'd learn a lot. So Mike, after 38 years of that stuff, I'm having to retire to no longer be in your shadow. I will miss you, great brother. We have 3 categories of teachers here at Emerson, as you know. Great teachers, extraordinary teachers, and legends. How did you become all 3 concurrently? Thanks so much for being such a great colleague, friend, and person. The world needs thousands more Mike Browns but I'll settle for seeing just one at my retirement event coming up. So please come, but also come visit in Aloha Land. Aloha.